Hi everybody, so I'm going to be showing you the steps that I make when literally buying a property and what I do to look for it. So today I'm going to show you how to look for a property, and this also I'm going to show you 2 steps of what you need to do when you want to get into the property market. So first of all, you want to set up a limited company. That's one thing that you do. So when setting up a limited company, you just go do like a Google search just to get into a search engine, typing company house setup. So you want to set up a company house. So you got many ways to do it. You can do it directly through company house, or you can do it through Tide, which is pretty good, which I'm going to show you, because with Tide, which is a banking company, you can get your bank account set up. Also, they can register your company as well for $14.99. So then all you have to do is just put in your company name, whatever name you want to call it. So just call it, I don't know, like John Doe Real Estate. It might be taken. I don't even know. It might be taken. Just have a look. It's going to do a search of all the companies based in the UK. So just have a look. It'll do its little search. Probably it's taken. We'll know. We'll see. Just wait for it to pop up and it will find out. And there you go. It hasn't been taken. John Doe Real Estate is available to register. So you can go there, go to next, and then you would have to obviously fill in like your details so they can get in contact with you and so forth. And then you just put in your personal details. The one thing I will say is that there will be a point where you need to get to where it will ask for a SIC, which is basic SIC, which is like the nature of business. So the code that you actually need is 68209. So you need that code, because then that shows you that you're going to be doing a buy to let. So you're going to be buying a property on the basis of letting it out. So that's very important, very, very important. You have to make sure that you put that in at all times. Then what you want to do is, once you've done that and you set up the company, happy days, then you're all good. But then you want to start looking for properties. So obviously Rightmove is kind of like the go-to place. You can use Zoopla. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty much the same. On the market as well, always find some like unique ones as well, so they're pretty good. So we'll use Rightmove because everyone kind of knows who they are. It's kind of the nation's favorite on finding properties, and then we'll just wait for that to come through. Now, for me personally, I get a lot of my houses in the northeast of England. To be specific, I get it in Newcastle region, so around that region. Reason being, it's the biggest city in the northeast. Loads of students, loads of universities there, loads of hospitals as well, like teaching hospitals. Got a good community. Prices are still reasonable, so it's still good. And I try to find anything remotely in that area. So the way that I kind of look at things is, if you're based in the south, obviously London's the hub. If you're based in the Midlands, it's normally Birmingham, and you're based in the northwest, is Manchester. So that's the northwest, and then the northeast, what's the next best thing? It's Newcastle. So that's a good hub to kind of base it around. Now, if you want to get anything out of that area, then by all means, 5 mile, 10 mile radius, then you can work with that. But ideally, you want to work with something no more than a 10-mile radius. And then you can get like a decent property. So you can go for houses, flats, bungalows, land and commercial properties. I'm kind of transitioning to the commercial side, but we can talk about that on a later segment. But just look at houses. The reason why I don't like using apartments or flats is because of leaseholds. I think they're a headache. Ideally, I try to stay away from them like the plague, but it's a good entry point depending on how much you got. Now, when buying houses up north, it varies. It varies from all sorts. So I can literally put in a wide range. I'm going to put in such things that's been updated in the last 14 days. Max range, I don't really want to find anything over, just say anything over 150 foul, but again, depends on what level you're starting at. By all means, you can go down even lower. You can also order it by doing filters based on highest to lowest, or lowest to highest, or most relevant. So with this one, we've got the highest price. Well, I'm quite surprised that that's the highest price. There must be more than that. Yeah, so 150. Here we go. That makes more sense. Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, 85. No. So yeah, so 150, that's the max that I've put in. And then you've got areas that you can see, which is Durham. Then you've got Wallsend, which is reasonable price. Like, by all means, when you guys check out these areas that I'm putting in, put it into Google Maps and do your own research. Find out how far it is from the local station. But I will tell you what I personally do when I'm looking at properties. So when I look at properties, for me, my main goal is how do I maximize and get the most profit out of that house? Because two things that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get paid three ways. I'm trying to get paid through trying to find a cheap deal, which is below market value. So whatever equities in the house there, there's money there. So I've got money coming in that way. Second place is literally adding value to the property, which is doing bathrooms, loft conversions, creating space. Like if you've got a unused garage, try and make it into an annex, so you can have a different, like an additional room. That is what you want to create. You want to create as many spaces as possible. Apologies. Yeah. So you've got houses from different areas. As you can see, you've got really nice houses with great curb appeal for 150k. This one's 2-bedroom terrace. Then you got some here. So let's minimize this a bit. Let's really get to the meat and potatoes and literally dive in a little bit more. Let's see if we can perhaps filter this a bit better. So I want a minimum of 3-bedroom. I think that's what I want to work with. Because then it kind of like narrows things down a little bit, just so that we know where we're at. So then we have got houses, as you can see, for 150k. But look, what we're going to do, we can go from the lowest to the highest, so you can find which is the cheapest ones, and you can work down that way. So you got houses starting from auction at 19,000, 20 grand. That's for the entire house, by the way. 20 grand auction. So you do an auction, but realistically, if it's auction for 20k, realistically, you're getting that well under 40 grand, because it's not gonna double. So you're probably gonna get around, and the biddings will probably go at £250 increments as well. So it wouldn't be like a £1,000 increment. So you can bear that in mind. Again, houses 40k. So for those that say that you can't get houses cheap, you can get houses cheap. Believe me, you can get houses cheap. And sometimes you might look at it, and I had this conversation with one of my friends the other day. He was like, yeah, but I wouldn't live in a house like that. I'm like, which is true, but everyone needs somewhere to live. Just because you won't live there doesn't mean someone else won't live there. And there's someone right now, somewhere in the world, that wouldn't live where you want to live. They'll be like, look, I wouldn't live where you live, even though you feel it's acceptable. And he was like, yeah, that's a fair point. So, there's always room for tenants. It just depends on like what type of tenants you get and how much they're willing to spend, and and that's, and it kind of comes down to the vetting process as well. So obviously that's what you have to take into consideration. So when we're looking at it, what I like to do, just as a little cheat code, obviously you can see the 10-mile radius, so that's a bit wide. I think this is quite a big range, my personal opinion. I only did 10 miles just to give you guys some scope. Ideally, I probably would work in a 3-mile radius, so that I can tie it down and get the right people. So as you can see here, where circled, so it covers that kind of region, of Newcastle. So gives you a good scope. But let's do 5, because at the end of the day, you still got some nice places in Blythe, which is pretty cool. So let's expand that a little to 5. So it's expanded. Nice expansion. So that's good. So then we can see what's about. Now I want to do filters, so I kind of want to go from not price. I'm trying to find the bit where it has, that's the minimum price. Filters. I want to base it on the most relevant. So let's have a look. Found it, lowest. So then here we go. So you want to go from oldest listing. Now, here's the trick. The reason why you want to do oldest listing is this, because if they're on the market for a long time, then you know that it's not selling. So that's kind of like the caveat that you want to know. So it's always a good trick to have. So with these ones that I'm scrolling through now, let's have a look. So there's 5 pages. Let me go to the next page. So this was added on yesterday. 29. Okay, so to be fair, everything that's been added on is pretty new. Let's have a look. Let's see. 30th. Okay, so these are all added pretty new. So I need to go to page 1. And it's always good just to play around with the website as well. So yeah. Okay, so this one, obviously, these ones are pretty new. We're in May at the moment, but it's only less than a month old. But, you know, it's a good indicator anyway. So what do I look for when I look at houses? So here's the things that I look for. Number 1, does it have curb appeal? Because you want it to have some decent curb appeal. You want it to make sure it's in the right area. I'll be honest with you, something like this, I probably wouldn't look at, even though it's, you know, it's a kind of like a flat thing. That's not kind of like my bag. I would realistically, if it was me, I'd be looking at, so this is something that I would look at, to be honest with you. So something in South Shields for 110,000, this is potential. I can look at the pictures, I can see it's quite old. Now, what I tend to find when looking at properties and when doing viewing, especially when it's got old furniture, I always like to ask the agent, like, what's the story, like, why is the vendor selling? And a lot of times they said, you know, they're a bit old now, they can't afford to, they're not able to look after themselves, so they have to be in a home, so they have to sell their homes in order to pay for their care. So because of that, they kind of need a bit of a quick sell. But again, you can tell by the furniture, these are good indicators to show that this is someone that's elderly. You can tell it's elderly furniture, you know, like your nan and granddad's furniture. You can always tell what it looks like. Yeah, everyone knows what it is. So something like this, strip it out completely, strip it all out. This is something that I'll strip out. The radiators are good. It's a functioning house. You can see it's functioning. Kitchen's dated. The reason why, me personally, and again, it comes down to budget. The reason why I personally would strip it out is because it's an elderly. Because I can tell that it's an elderly person that lived here. The chances are I can't see them doing the rewiring, so I can see that they've maintained it is in a good condition. But there's a good chance that the rewiring hasn't been done for, you know, decades. So I personally like to, any property that I buy, and this is something that is across the board for every property that I do, I gutter it all out completely because I want to do the rewiring. Reason being is because I want to know that once I've done the rewiring, I don't need to touch it again in my lifetime. So if I buy it and I hold, and generally I hold all my properties, so when it gets passed down to my heirs or whoever I want to pass it down to, at least I know that it's, you know, it's being done for, it doesn't need to be done for the next like 50 years. If there's any issues, then I'm gonna, let's say that I buy like a new kitchen and there's issues, I don't want to ruin my new kitchen that I've installed to go and do the rewiring. So sometimes it's best just to gutter everything out. And by doing that as well, when you do an evaluation, the evaluator will see where it was in this condition, as you can see now, compared to how you do it modernized. You know, it's just good just to have it better EPC. That always helps because obviously it's about having good energy efficient property, especially if you're going to be renting it out. And if you're doing it as a HMO, obviously like 9 out of 10 times you're going to be paying the bills anyway. So you want to keep the bills low as well. So there's a lot of upfront costs initially, but on the back end, it actually benefits you. But if this is me, I'll gutter this all out. Now let's see if there's a visual floor plan. Let's have a look. I don't see one. Yes, we do. Boom. So there's a visual floor plan, which is great. So this is how we'll do it. So I'm seeing this. I'm like, okay, so we've got a lounge. We've got a kitchen and dining area. We've got utility. I need to figure out where the front door is. I don't know if it's here or I don't know if it's there based on the floor plan. I'm presuming it's here because it says the lobby. Yeah, and then you got the utility. Great. Then you've got bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, and for what it looks like to me, 2 bathrooms. You've got a WC here, which is communal, and then you got another WC here. Well, that's a WC, that's just a toilet actually. That's just a toilet, and that's a bathroom. Because you can see the bathroom, you can see the bath, and that might be a shower tray, perhaps. Right, so what would I do? What would I do, guys? What do you think I would do? I'd know what I'll do from the rip. So let's work with downstairs first. So downstairs, what I'll do is that utility room. So this is the entrance right here. Where the utility room is, I would open this up, knock it out, and have a big open kitchen. This cupboard or space here, I'll knock that out. So all of this right here will be one massive kitchen. So everything on the right hand side will just be a huge kitchen. Knock it out, communal, you know what I mean? Make it nice and big. I would even go as far to say that I probably would even extend it and maybe knock this out. So there's 2 things I could potentially do. I can either knock all of this out, the utility, and have a big kitchen coming long ways. But now looking at it, and bearing in mind, I've never seen this property before. So anything that I'm saying right now, I haven't preempted it. I'm doing this off the dome, off my head. So now if looking at it properly, I probably would maybe open this up. Right here, right here, I wish I could draw a line, but right here, I would open this up and I'll put a stud wall here. So I'll cut the lounge in half. Yep. So I'll cut the lounge in half. And then I'll have the kitchen from here all the way around here. And I'll keep the utility. I'll probably knock these cupboards out. I don't know, depends on if things fit. But I'll keep the utility. Washing machine, tumble dryer. Even potentially, you can even put like a freezer, like one of those cupboard freezers that you can put down as extra storage for freezing. Because bearing in mind, if you're going to do this, you're going to do this as a HMO. And if you're going to do it as a HMO, storage matters. Everything, storage matters. Fridge matters, freezer matters. Like, everyone wants storage. Everyone wants somewhere they can put their food. Pots, pans. Like, these are things that you have to think about. And the good thing is that when you think like a tenant, then you will accustom your properties so that when the tenants come and view their house, it's very thoughtful of them. Whereas if you just look at it as a project investor, then there's things that you might miss out. And that can be the difference when you're advertising your room for them to go and pick another property over yours. So that's very important. So let's have a look here. So now looking at it realistically, I'll keep the utility room, kitchen, diner, obviously knock that out, but I'll knock this wall out and I'll put a stud wall right here. Stud wall will go right here. So that means all of that will be a kitchen. Now what do I do with this space right here? Keep this here, make it into a bedroom. In fact, I'll make it into an ensuite bedroom. I would probably have the ensuite here. I actually would cut this off. So this is the bedroom. And then this bit where the kitchen is, which I said I'll make it into a kitchen, I probably would have like a little, I'll have the ensuite here, but you'll access the ensuite from inside. But then rather than eating up the bedroom space here, I will have the ensuite from the outside. So you maximize the bedroom. In terms of getting value on a property, it's all about floor space. That's all that matters. When a valuer comes, they care about floor space. How much floor space, how much square feet is it per room? That's what matters. That's what it boils down to. So that's what I would do. Make the kitchen bigger. It's big enough because then when you've got a kitchen diner, technically now you got a communal room. It's big enough for a kitchen. You can put a table there. You can have an island there. You can do a breakfast bar there. You can put a TV within that region. So then that's the communal area. You can put a sofa potentially in this corner. You can have bifolded windows so that you can have a big, natural light coming in. So yeah, that's what I would do. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Upstairs, then I will, again, for me, it's all about creating as many en-suites as possible, because many people, especially when you're living with strangers, one of the issues that you have is that you don't want to share bathrooms with others. Like, I've got one property where we most of my properties are all en suites, apart from one. And one of them is like, you've got 2 bathrooms, but there's always an issue on like keeping the bathroom tidy or whatever it may be. So the maintenance is pretty hard. Whereas if it's in their own room, then they can maintain it themselves, and then it's best easy just to kind of like control it. Where it's a bit harder to do so when it's a communal bathroom. Most people want their own bathrooms because, you know, it's very, you know, very private. So yeah, and the only thing that you kind of want them to do is just to share a kitchen. Yep. Right, then I will do bedroom 1. I will have an ensuite. As I said, I'll create an ensuite in bedroom 1, and then keep it simple. That's what it is. And then bedroom 2 and 3, I probably will just again leave it the same, and then upgrade the bathroom, and then have an additional toilet. And the reason why I'll do that is for 2 reasons. The reason why I'll do that, because then bathroom 2 and 3 can share. So 2 people can share 1 bathroom. Bedroom 1 will have the privilege of having their own ensuite. And then obviously the lounge, which we're going to make a bedroom down there, they'll have the privilege of having their own ensuite. So it'll be a 4-bedroom house. So what I've done now, if you notice guys, I've converted a 3-bedroom house into a 4-bed. Bedroom 1 is where the lounge is from here. Bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, bedroom 4. And bedroom 3 and 4 will share a bathroom, which is fine. 2 people sharing, it's, you know, you're not going to have too much of an issue. Beautiful thing with this as well, with the ensuite, you can always charge a little bit extra. Well, you should charge extra actually, because they have their own private bathroom facilities. I will say for anyone that has an ensuite, I think the going rate, it should be an additional £50. So charge an additional 50 for whatever the room. So obviously you base it on size. So for example, if you're going to charge, for example, this person maybe £450 a room, maybe charge £500 a room, because this room might be a little bit smaller. Then you might want to charge £350 for this one, because they're going to have the bigger room. You might can charge £550. You know, so give or take, you're clearing around about 1900 a month on this now. So let's do the maths. Let's do the maths. Let me see if I can. Do we have a calculator on here? Nope. Let me find a calculator. 1 sec. And we found a calculator. So remember, the house is 110,000. Found one. Calculator. So yeah. So house is 110,000. So 110. Close down. 110,000. And then you want to divide that by 4. Gives you 27.5k. So that is the down payment that you would have to put to buy this property. So I guess for people that live in the south, that gets a house for, I don't know, 300,000-400,000, you have to put 10% down. That's 40k. But for this, that's going to be putting money into your pocket, your investment, initial investment to put this in will be 27.5. So with legal fees, you're probably looking around an extra 5. So you're probably looking around about 32,000 all in. So what do you do? So obviously there's 2 ways you can do it. So you can either do that, get a mortgage, and get the property, and then obviously you can do the works yourself, or you can get what is called a bridging loan. I haven't done a bridge yet. I know people that have done bridges and has been successful with it. So what you can do is that when you get what's called a bridging loan, it's where you put down the deposit of quarter, 25%, and out of that 25%, you want to give a floor plan and give them the plans of what you're going to be doing on the development. So I'm going to be converting a 3-bedroom into a 4-bedroom. I'm going to be adding 2 additional en-suites. I'm going to be upgrading the rewiring. I'm going to be doing the replumbing, XYZ, and then they can help fund for you to get the project done as well. So not just the difference of the 3/4 of the property, but you can also get the funding to get it done. So that's one way of doing it. 2, you can do JV, which is joint venture. Are joint ventures good? Yeah, they're good. They're good. But you have to do your due diligence. You need to make sure that you guys come put some terms of business in place. Make sure that you understand the agreement from the get-go. So obviously do it with someone that you can trust. But joint ventures are normally good in regards to that. Obviously, because I've been doing this for a while and I've got multiple properties, I normally, the profit that I've got from my previous projects, we never spend the money. We use that same money and put it into the new project. So that's the reason how we can always fund it. But if you generally got some capital and you want to know how to get into property, this is probably one of the easiest way to do it. So if you've got around about 50, 60 grand, that's the type of property that I would realistically say that you should get, because that will probably cover your costs. Obviously, if you haven't got that type of capital, then you might want to look at smaller properties. Properties are going for maybe like 40k or 50k, and then obviously then you don't have to put that much in. If you do get a property for like 60 grand, then obviously you only need to put down 20k down as a deposit, no 15k down as a deposit, shall I say, and then you can use the additional money to do all the works. But by doing that, that will give you a good indicator as well. Now, this place is in South Shield, so realistically, I would say to get this job done, you probably need about an additional 50 grand. Obviously, as mentioned, you can do it through a bridge. That's a good way. Or if you've got the money already and you got 50 grand plus the 27,000, then by all means, this is something that you can do your own. If not, maybe do a joint venture, maybe partner up with someone, and then put your money together and then work on a project like this together. So there's many ways to do it. Many ways. So just look now to see. So this is in South Shield. So okay, South Shield. Let's go back, because ideally you kind of always want to work backwards as well. You kind of always want to know roughly how much houses are going for. Yeah, I'm just writing this down just so that we know roughly how much. Yeah, so so there's a website called Mouse Price. Let's get that up. And it kind of tells you what the going rate is on how much houses are. Or you can go on the land registry. That's another way of doing it. You can go on the land registry by just typing in the address, but I don't know the full postcode. Right, let's have a look. South Shields. This is the property that we just saw. Cool. So then, perfect. So this is so as you can see, that house that I found, don't know if I have it anymore. But yeah, this one. This is the road and Avenue, 110k. However, by just doing a bit of due diligence, you can see houses are going for 122, 130, 140, pretty much. So getting a house for 110 is actually a good deal. So if you get a house for that price, it's fantastic, to be fair, because now you've got some skin in the game. Now you've got a bit of equity. So just by buying that deal alone, you might be getting up to a 20 grand, even 30 grand worth of equity in that property just by buying it at market value. You can be a bit cheeky and offer maybe like 95 and say, would the vendor be offended by making a cheeky offer of 95? Like, how would they feel if I make a cheeky offer? And then they'll be able to gauge, So just because you see it for 110 doesn't mean that you have to pay that price. You might get a little bit cheaper, or you might have to pay a little bit more. But the reality of it is, then what you know is that 139 is what this one got sold for. This was in 2023. Bearing in mind as well the condition of the property. We don't know the condition of the property that was sold at that price. So the good thing is that even if you bought this house, let's say that we get you've up the value, and then the new value is around about 160, 170. Let's say 170. Yeah. So let's say that you push the value at 170. So 170 divided by 4 equals 42k. So that's what's going to be left in the deal. So what did we say? 17000 minus 40. Oh, hold on one sec. How do we clear this? Yeah, 170. Actually, I can do it on here. Yeah. Minus 42500. Yep. So put it this way, even if you got it revalued at 170,000, you'll be able to pull back out. You'll be able to pull back out 127,500 if you got revalued at 160,000. So even though you bought the house for initially, you would have put down a deposit down of 27,000, which is the 27,500. But then then obviously whatever it would have cost you to fix it up. But even if you bumped it up and you only spent like 60 grand, that's the difference in profit that you would be making. So you'll get that back into your bank account. And then the remaining 42.5 grand, that'll be down as your down payment. So it's kind of like your deposit, to say. Then what you've done now, done two things. So now you've got the cash. You definitely don't spend it because that's going to be for your next deal. But more importantly, now obviously you've got a new mortgage. Now, how much will that mortgage will be? Because obviously the money that you'll get, the 127,000, depends on, again, how you did it. Because if you got a bridging loan, you're going to have to use that money to pay back the bridge as well. So you would have had to get your deductions out of that. So even still, let's say, but when you get a new mortgage, your new mortgage is going to be of 127,500. So what you want to do is that you want to work out the mortgage. Now, interest rates, obviously no one knows, it can be vary, but I'm going to be super conservative, so I'm going to make it extremely high because I want to give the worst case scenario. Interest rates are floating around about 4.5, 5, even 5.5. So I'm going to go 5.5. But it's about 4 or even 3.5 is that you can, 3.5, around 3.54, great rates. Anything above is quite extortionate, but let's do 5.5 just to be conservative. Because we always want to give the worst case scenario. If you get a cheaper interest rate, happy days. Yeah. So let me just get that done. So let's clear that off. So 127,500. Yep. Times 5.5%. Yep. So then your yearly mortgage will be £7,012.50. Yeah, that's what your yearly mortgage is. Because there's 12 months in a year, you want to divide that by 12. That's your new mortgage, and that will be your mortgage in a month, and that's at a super high rate at 5.5. So your mortgage will be £584 and 38 pence a month. And you want to get locked that in, maybe like a 2-year mortgage or 5-year mortgage, whatever it may be. But that's roughly what your mortgage would be. Now, going back to the property, we were saying that per room, you could probably get around, per room, we worked around about 1,900. So even if you did 1,900 for the house, because you're renting them out room by room, remember, let's go back into it just in case you forgot. So I'm just going to load this up right now, and then so we can really explain this. So remember, room by room. So looking on the floor plan, if you get this one with an ensuite, you're probably looking around about, honestly, just say 6, because it's South Shields, just say 600. Yeah, be conservative, not too high. And again, you can find this all on Spare Rooms, 600. Then you get your property number 2, again another ensuite. You might want to drop it down, maybe like 550. Then this one, because it hasn't got an ensuite, you might want to charge them 400. And for the box room, you might just want to charge them $350. and all of that, that's going to include bills as well. That's going to include bills, council tax, water rates, the whole 9 yards. So 600, yep, plus 550, plus 400, plus 350. Oh, okay. Let's do that one more time. So 600 plus 550 plus 400 plus 350 equals 1900. So yeah, that was the number. And then I said the mortgage we worked out was 580 something. Let's say 590. I can't remember what it was. It was like 580 something. So 5 minus 590, because that's the mortgage. That's 1300 that you're left. Then you have to pay the council tax, because you're going to do it as a HMO. So you're going to pay the council tax, water rates, light bill, gas bill, all the bills, TV license if you provide any TV. If you don't provide a TV, technically you don't have to get a TV license. But if you're providing a TV, then it's down to the landlord. So yeah, so just say all in all, you know, again, be super conservative. Just whack 500 on bills. We all know that bills ain't gonna be 500. You're still left with £810 a month profit, clean profit. Obviously, if you do a JV, you split it between two, so then that'd be 105 each per month. But you know, if you do it on your own, you have to think about it. You times that by 12, you know, that's a £9,720 profit that extra you've got. You know, that's like a pay rise. That's better than a pay rise, and that's into a profitable, functioning business. Obviously, if you just split it and you do a JV, like a joint venture, then obviously you're taking on that thing. But you know, 4,800, that can pay for so many things. That can pay for your car that you might have on finance or HP or whatever it may be. Could potentially pay for a family holiday. Can pay for whatever it may be, or you could just pay for that. You might want to put it on the side and use it as other investments and savings, or put into the stock market. Like, these are positive ways that this is how what a true investor is, and these are the things that you want to be building and so forth. Or you want to offset this and then put it into your cash flow, lifestyle, whatever it may be. But this is how you build. Obviously, if you've got this type of profit, you always want to put maybe like 200 aside every month. You know, it's called a SWAN account, sleep well at night. That's what it stands for, acronym. So just in case boiler breaks, issues. But again, insurances as well, take that into consideration. But again, little cheat code, anything that I do with properties, I get the insurance and I max it out. I'm like, give me everything, every single thing, so that I know that if anything happens, you know, if a tenant don't pay, voids, whatever, I want it all. Because worst case scenario, what you don't want is that you have a situation and then you can't afford to fix or pay. Where if you got insurance, worst case scenario, you're covered. That's what insurance is for, just in case. So yeah, so hopefully a bit long, but I hope you found this helpful. But that is how you find properties, and I've shown you how to set up a company, and you want to do it in a limited company due to section 24, so that you literally get the profit on that. On the rent, that will go back, just as a little caveat. If you were paying rent, if you was charging rent of 1900, times that by 12, you would be paying 20% on tax on that. You'd be paying corporation tax of 22,000. But because if you had it in your own personal name, because you got in a limited company, you can write off all the expenses: mortgage, insurance, light bill, gas bills, all the bills, internet, the whole 9 yards. If it's to do with the property, furniture, that all could be written off. So anything to do with the property, you can basically write it off. So that's a good tax advantage by doing so. But if you find that useful, definitely, I really appreciate it. So yeah.